today. Get to know our panelists and their businesses. Some of you guys know them really well. Some of you might be hearing about it for the first time today. We're going to have some question and answer at the end so that you can really apply the conversation that we're having to your individual businesses. So let's just kick it off. So I'm going to ask each of our panelists to do a little bit of a bio about their business so you know kind of where they're at. We're going to start with you, Chris. We kind of learned about your real estate journey, but why don't you set the stage for us on a real estate, your team, your transactions. What does that look like when we're having a conversation with you?
So I have a team in Portland. That's kind of where my hub is. That team closed about 250 units last year. We did about 85 million in volume. Average sales price is our friend there in Portland. And we did about 2.2 million in GCI. We began launching teams outside of Portland, right? I've been in business with Nate now for
5 years.
5 years, gosh, I was gonna say 4. Feels like just yesterday, Nate. So we started launching teams about 5 years ago. Nate was actually our first one. So we have teams in about now 12 different team locations. Our organization last year sold about 1,500 homes. Did about 13.5 million in gross commission income in GCI, and did just for about $500 million in volume sold across different cities in the U.S.
Awesome. Cooley, why don't you lay the stage for us? Did you want to go after that?
I think I forget. Oh, wow. So what was the question?
Tell us a little bit about your real estate business, your organizational model, and your transactions.
Okay, so got a team in Eugene. We did about 150 sides last year, including referral business. 1.2 million in GCI. There's 9 of us on the team. In that last 3 years, I went off to coaching, got the OP opportunity. So that team is truly 7th level, and they've grown a little bit each year through me not being there all the time. So to me, that's the big win as far as lives worth living. Great people.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, I'm the worst.
We don't compare our insights to other people's outside.
Yeah.
So you're good. You're
But
perfect,
we're like
exactly the
doing
way you are.
I wrote it down. So on the Rutledge Property Group here in Medford, we did 142 sides last year, 40 million in production. It's a little over $1 million in GCI. Got a team of 10. We've got 6 salespeople and 4 staff.
Awesome. So it's safe to say that individually in your markets, you are leading your markets. You are leading this industry. So I'd like to circle back and just start the conversation there, right? We are in a changing industry, right? Our economy is changing, our markets are changing, the way we do business is changing, consumer expectations are changing. So what does that look like? Chris, will you kind of help us get into your head a little bit and tell us what your perspective is on where the industry is at today and what we're projecting over the next couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's safe to say that the industry is in a period of transition, and we all happen to be in this industry during that time, which for some could be scary. I think for us in this room, it's incredibly exciting. I'll share one thing that I think would frame even this conversation. My brother moved from New York out to Seattle and worked actually directly for Jeff Bezos for as long as he could probably take that man, and then he went on to nonprofit work. But it's worked out great for my brother. But interestingly enough, right? There's a book that I would recommend if you're building a business. There's a book called The 4, and that book unpackages what the 4 on their way to be trillion-dollar companies have done, and through a shifting markets. It unpackages Google, Facebook, Amazon, and Microsoft. But in there, Jeff Bezos says that oftentimes, just like the question that you asked, the question that he's always asked is, what's the industry going to look like in the next 10 years? Like, what is it going to look like? And that sometimes can frighten real estate agents. Like, what is the industry going to look like 10 years from today? And he says that's actually the wrong question to ask. The right question to ask is, what isn't going to look different about our industry? Right? What isn't going to look different? Because then we can build a business around what's not going to change. So as you say, gosh, what's in your mind right now? What I am certain of is the one thing that's not going to change about our industry is that this is a relationship industry. And he who owns and fosters and builds and creates and controls the relationship will always have something to do. Like, that's the one thing that we know will not change. And so for us in this market, over the last 12 to 18 to 24 months, we have been doubling down on making sure that the strategies we build, both online and offline, are all about the relationships that we have with our current clients, but also the relationships we have with people that we haven't yet met. And I think we'll probably, we'll talk more about that and what that means, but my mindset is it's a relationship business, and we have to use face-to-face interaction. We need to use different types of communication. We need to use technology for the purpose of the relationship. I would also just say that KW, as a company, like when we hear all this noise about technology and we're a technology company, like Gary would tell you, the only reason why he's reinventing the company is for us to be able to maintain and control a relationship, and all technology in our world is for the relationship and the relationship only.
Small request. Can he go last?
I was just saying that same time.
Yeah.
You know, like, we're gonna mix it up.
I don't know how do I do this.
Mic drop.
Just add something, Cooley.
What is your perspective of where we are today and where we're going as an industry?
So I want to dig more into the relationship side. I think obviously we're competing with the online, the iBuyer, the referrals back. I mean, I don't know about any of you here, but we get no less than 20 opportunities a week of someone calling and saying we have a referral for you in your area. That is a company, not another agent. They're just beating us at our own game locally with the haven't met, calling around, whatever they're doing, whether it's Google ads or whatever else. So we have book club on my team. We pick a book and read it every month. And last Thursday, we went over this idea with relationships. We say the greatest compliment we can get is when someone refers us business. We said, okay, well, that used to make sense because in 2005, people moved an average of every 5 years. And now today, is it 11.3?
Yeah, it's right around there.
Okay. So over 11 years, people are making a move. So that's twice as much time for you to stay in contact with the client, right? So we changed it up, and we're working on this now. Like, this is cutting stuff on the Cooley team. But what would it look like if people came to us when they needed a referral, right? Not referring us, but what if the magnet said, your agent on top, call me first, or put a list of your vendors. So I would rather have, within that relationship, building with local vendors, staying in contact with the community, and becoming a resource to actually help them move the community forward. And oh, by the way, when it's time to buy or sell real estate, hopefully they'll think of us or come back to us, right? So we're all in on the relationship side. I'm very transactional. In the first 2 years of the 10-year sales, it was cold calling. I was that guy. I could do that all day, but those are turn and burn type deals when you have that type of business. I never actually had the time to invest in the relationship enough. So relationship.
So it sounds like we're really talking about being far more than just real estate agents selling homes. We're really talking about being an end-to-end service. Is that how you would describe that relationship?
Plus one. You can go online right now and find a company to list your house for 1 or 2%, right? But when we sit down at a listing presentation, we go, okay, looks like you have some dry rot, maybe get the roof done. Would you like to do a home inspection before we list your home so we don't get any surprises? So what we are actually showing up as value with, not just a price and a marketing plan, I think will differentiate us as we move forward. And that may be a little bit focusing on what could be different, but yes, are we +1 in your relationship with everyone so we can offer more?
There's no app in the world that can fix if the seller took the refrigerator on closing day.
Been there.
Right, so I'm sure it's never happened to any of you, right? All right, so our local expert, tell us your perspective on the industry, where we're at and where are we going?
So mirrored on what these guys said, what won't change is the need for consummate professionals in this industry. And I think the reason that we are ripe for disruption is there's a lot of agents, but there's not a lot of professionals. People that know the product that they're selling. Do they understand how houses are built, construction, and are they the guy that people come to for anything they need? Like we have built a vendor list, and our goal, like you guys, is to be your realtor for life. Anything you need, once you're our client, no matter what you need, if it's a dentist or a roofer or a free home valuation before you refinance your house, we want them coming to us, because that true professional cannot be replaced. State of the market right now, I think it's across at least most of the West, super low inventory. Rental rates are skyrocketing, and so what we're seeing here locally is the locals very rarely will actually change the market. It's always the transplants. So we have about 30% of our business, of our real estate sales, are coming from people outside of the area. They're pushing prices up. The good news is, with rents going up, it's pushing more would-be renters into becoming buyers. So we are seeing, even though we're under 2 months of inventory, we're seeing a lot of turn, and I think this year prices are going to continue to go up.
Love it. Okay. Cooley, we're coming back to you. You
Okay.
ready? Let's talk some brass tacks. People want to know, you are doing incredible business, you're closing a lot of sales. So tell us about your leads. What are your top 2 lead sources that you guys are utilizing right now? And then can you walk us through some of the systems that you're using to nurture those leads, convert those leads, and follow up with those leads?
Great question. We've got 2 big missions, 2 big goals on the team. One is 50% of our business is sellers and 50% buyers, which is always a challenge when you have more people working on the buyer side than listing side, because a good listing should produce another listing and a buyer, right? So it just keeps going. If you have more buyer agents out there, it's tough for the listing side to keep up. So listings and buyers at 50-50, and Mets and haven't Mets at 50-50. And when we focus on those 2 goals, a lot of other things just naturally happen. For instance, if we're getting a lot more business from our Mets, which is great, that means we're getting referrals. That means we've got a gap in where we could be finding other business from haven't Mets. So should we be doing more open houses? Maybe we need to turn up Facebook ads through Command or something to build the haven't met business so that it's constantly at 50-50. Most people don't have that problem. I would say most teams are heavier on the haven't Mets than Mets. Top 2 lead sources, since we've focused on it and brought a daily conversation in our huddle around it, is Sphere. So we're definitely getting more return customers and referrals. Our other one would be Facebook, AdWords. We still do go to, I just want to throw it out, at scale with the team. As you're growing, there's always an opportunity for newer agents to turn those lower conversion leads in practice. So we pay for them. I don't think it's good for everyone to do, but our model is such that we still do pay for the Google and Facebook leads to generate haven't Mets for training purposes as well as more business.
So we're looking at Sphere,
Yep.
repeat business, our Met business, then basically what I like to call leads from listings, right? Like you're taking listings, you're procuring more business,
Yep.
and then you also still are doing some internet-based listing based on Facebook ads and that kind of thing. So three pillars.
Yeah, and Command makes it really easy to take a listing and place an ad for the listing and capture more business too. So the more listings you have, and just beat it in, right? But a listing is what we're selling. It's what buyers want. When you have listings, we have what they want. So you can share those listings with your mouth to other agents or buyers or online in marketing and get more business from it. So keep that too. The more listings you have, the less you have to pay for just a random Facebook ad.
You know, it's interesting, Josh, because that conversation, I mean, we've always had that in MREA, right? It's listings will drive your business. I think in tight inventory, probably all of us have less listings than we would have liked to have or have had historically. But for us, if we've been able to move away from paid for advertising or move off of that, largely because that inventory and that new platform on Command allows us to generate, in effect, you could call that paid for, but before, where we might have been paying for $23 or $24 a lead for truly paid for marketing, by using that Command, right, that Facebook it's marketing through Command, we're right now at about $2 to $3, $2.23, depending which market, per lead. So yes, we're paying for it. We've dropped that cost per lead dramatically, and we're generating our own leads based on those listings.
Love that. Right, yeah. What are your top 2 lead sources? And then how do you go about the system of nurturing them, following up with them?
I'm gonna parent these guys. We, at the end of the year, we always kind of evaluate the year. 85% of our business came from our database.
Awesome.
So we have a very robust 36 touch. We call it 36 plus, because if you work it right, it's north of 40 touches per client per year. Mailers, happy hours, client appreciation events. We send out Christmas tree permits in November. So that is definitely the bulk of where our business comes from, is people that know, like, and trust us, our allied resources. After listening to Josh, I know that we've got some opportunity in the haven't met side, because that's 15%. So yeah, database is 85%, and then the other 15% would just come from our internet leads, right? We do the same thing, Google AdWords, Facebook ads, to drive people that want to know what their house is worth to our website, get a registration, harass them until they list with us, or change their phone number.
No.
So yeah, those would be our 2 big pillars.
I'm gonna go a little bit deeper if that's okay. So 142 homes last year, right? You've got a 36 plus campaign in play. How big is your database?
Oh, about 6,000.
6,000. Okay, so one of the things I like to distinguish, because some people are sitting in the room going, oh my gosh, I don't have a database of 6,000, right? Anybody else have a database of 6,000? Okay. And one of the things we say is, when we say sphere, right? Like, in our minds, we think our friends and our family. So my question, when you say 85% came from your sphere, is that friends and family, or are you categorizing possibly multiple lead sources within the umbrella of sphere? So for example, you've got your friends, your family, your past clients, your power partners or vendors. Are you lumping that all into sphere and calling it 85%, or is it actually more broken down than that?
Yeah, it's much more broken down than that.
Okay.
So yeah, that is lenders, appraisers, title officers, people that we have connected with at some point. They may not actually really know me personally, but anyone that comes in and they have a heartbeat and they have valid contact information, they go into our database, and at a minimum they get our monthly market snapshots, they get invited to our events. And so even if I'm not personally touching them, or someone on the team isn't, they're getting hit. Like, I had a gal, she was a renter in the house that I was gonna list, and she decided to buy it. And so I helped her buy it. She hates real estate agents. Closed the deal. She was super happy with the service, even though she was a little bit on the adversarial side, like, hey, my brother's a lender, I know what I'm doing, I don't need you, don't talk to me.
Sure.
Closed the sale. She asked me last night what her place is worth, because she's thinking about selling it. And she said, oh, by the way, I thought of you because I get emails from you. So that's the power of the database, is probably wouldn't pick up the phone and ask her how she's doing because she'd hang up on me, but yet here she is. That was in 2015, so 5 years later, she's there because of the database.
And that's exactly where I was gonna go next, right? Like, success is sequential, not simultaneous. So how long have you been doing a 36+ campaign to the database to result in an 85% sphere return?
How long ago did I hire Kat?
Next month will be 3 years.
So it got to a point where I'm doing the Keller stuff and the database was like too much. Like what?
Non-existent.
I have to, how do I do 36 times, you know, forget it. So I just bit the bullet and hired a gal and said, your job is going to be to help me with this database thing. And so I had been working on it for a couple years, finally hired someone, and we started rolling with it. So yeah, been paying someone full-time for 3 years.
How long did it take you to hire them after our conversation?
Less than a week.
Less than a week. She knows everything.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like,
We have that recorded.
delete.
Awesome, thanks. Chris, what did we miss? Where are your leads coming from?
Yeah, the only thing I'll share, so in MREA 2, no, you're fine. Not to mess with that, so, and I'm not sure I even should say this, because there's cameras in the room.
Here, I'll turn this
And
on.
I was sworn to not share this, but I'm gonna share it.
It was live, it's going now.
Oh, gosh. Just a few days ago, they sent chapter 6 of MREA 2, which is the lead gen model. And what I think the only difference in the new conversation is, right, from that met to have not met, the huge takeaway that I think Josh initially shared, right, and it was that if we are not adding haven't mets, then it doesn't matter how awesome we are on the 33, 36, 47 touch. If new people aren't ending up at a certain point in time, people die, people move, people, right, their sister gets a real estate license, your business will not continue to grow. We will always need new people. So in MREA 2, you're gonna have this conversation between lead and contact. Leads it's anybody new that you've met. It could be they show up to an open house. It could be that it's their house expired and you reached out to them, haven't made contact. It could be, right, it's an internet lead. It doesn't matter who they are, that's a lead. The minute there's two-way conversation, they become a contact. And then you're gonna see this graphic that this is this funnel that our job, right, I'm not gonna tell you the number because it might change, but it's gonna be somewhere between 33 and 45. And this is the follow-up funnel. And I think that's where we all fall down. Like, we fall down because we're awesome with new leads. We're actually awesome with people that know us, like us, and want to hear from us. Where we all fall down in any business, real estate, or any sales business, which is all business, is do we have a system in place such that someone or something is top of funnel? And that's why top of funnel could be machine, top of funnel could be people. In my world, I believe that I would rather pay for people rather than pay per click. Like, I've always said that from day one. We pay for people. I think a human being will outdo a machine all day long. I would rather have 5 agents doing open houses than pay per click, funneling in hundreds of leads. That's just my strategy. So we have activity. In our world, we believe activity, and we call these our levers, our lead gen levers. And they fall into open house, FSBO, expired, door knocking, right, and circle prospecting. It doesn't matter what you like to do. In fact, if an agent says, well, I hate getting on the phone, awesome, well then walk down the street or do an open house. But the goal is that everybody in our organization is adding about 4 people, 4 leads, into the database that immediately become contacts, and then they go into our system of follow-up.
So 4 a day?
4 a week.
4 weeks.
4 a week. So if they're doing an open house, they're gonna get 2 people at that open house that they meet face-to-face. That's a lead turn contact immediately. See, that's why I love face-to-face, because the lead immediately becomes a contact, and they can go and follow up. What Gary said, we can sit down. What Gary said, one time, it was about 2 years ago, we were in a mastermind, right? The top 100 agents roughly in the company, and he said, hey, who has a 33 touch? And everyone's super excited, like, oh, I do, everyone's raising their hand. He said, awesome. Who has an 8x8 campaign, which that language will change in MREA too as well. But the 8x8 is the relationship building campaign. And everyone's like, oof, like that's like when you first meet them, what are the first 8 touches that we build and cement the relationship? No one had it. So Gary said this, then you don't get the right to say that this model doesn't work, the 33 touch doesn't work, the ratios don't work, because we're throwing them on these 33 touch campaigns and all these emails without first establishing the relationship. That first, right, 8 weeks or those 4 weeks or whatever it is, right, the numbers are almost irrelevant. That first part of the relationship, if we don't cement it and build it, then we have not earned the right to put them into our follow-up funnel. So during contact phase, we have to build a reason and the relationship and value, and after that, then we've earned the right to communicate with them in a systematic way. So the activity, to me, it doesn't matter. It could be internet, it could be, right, it could be door knocking, it could be anything at the top of the funnel, and that's new business. This is going to take care of all sphere anyway once that funnel is built. That's the greatest thing you ever did, right? Like you'd say that because 85% of your business is from it, is that 33, 36 touch that you execute.
Love it. All right, we're going to transition and we're going to talk about listings, right? There's in lots of ways you can say you got a list to last. The truth is, as business owners and real estate professionals, there's only one way to control our destiny and to control our business and real estate, and that is to work with listings. So, Josh, tell us a little bit about, I feel like you haven't talked in a while.
I'm good.
Are you gonna pass the baton? Okay, we're gonna go here first. Adam, are you ready?
Thank you, Josh. I'm not gonna listen. What?
Yeah.
No, I got it.
Tell us about what percentage of your business is coming from listings, and then tell us a little bit about how you're navigating the current market, right? Because I understand we're less than 2 months of inventory down here. How are you dealing with the expectations of sellers in our current market, as well as dealing with seller motivation?
I was gonna do the math, but I'm gonna guess. So we had 66 listings sold out of 142, so 40% listings is what we had. With the tight inventory, we hear a lot, well, okay, yeah, great, I'll list this puppy. We know it's gonna sell if we price it right. Where are we gonna go? We have 2 dogs, rents are crazy, there's nothing to rent, there's nothing to buy. So that goes back to the professional part. Consummate professionals will always have business. And so ultimately, it is solving their problem. So a lot of times what we'll do, I'll give you guys one of my secrets here. I'm sure you guys already do it, but I'm gonna say it first. So, okay, great. we can't get you pending on a purchase without you being pending on a sale, or we're pretty weak. Like, hey, it's on the market, it's not pending, but we want to buy yours. We don't know when we can close. We don't know how much money we're gonna get out of the house we're selling. So it's, okay, so what comes first, right? The chicken or the egg? I personally think it was the chicken that came first. So what we tell them is, okay, we're gonna market your house for sale, and then we are going to accept an offer as acceptable, and we're gonna put a clause in there that says, hey, seller has 2 weeks to terminate transaction if they don't find a suitable replacement property. And then we just make sure that the earnest money and inspection timelines don't start until the seller has found something to buy. So then that takes their problem that's insurmountable and say, hey, there's a way around this. All we need to do is, first, we gotta show that yellow P for pending in the MLS to give the seller confidence in the purchase you're about to do, and that's a workaround there. And so solving that problem is how we get a lot of listings. And knowing the market, being competent, being confident, and then it goes back to follow-up. 2% of your deals are gonna come from the first contact. The other 98% are gonna be made between the 5th and the 12th follow-up call. Text, email, or whatever. So if you're committed to follow-up, you'll get creative with it, and then you'll end up with the business. But then when you show up at the table, you better have more solutions, for whatever problems that they have.
So 40% in 2019, what's the goal for listing percentage in 2020?
50%.
50%. So how are you going to intentionally tackle that goal this year?
We know that if we list a house, there is a very high likelihood that 3 other houses in that neighborhood will list in the next 90 days. So right off the bat, I like to get the listing signed. Give me a couple weeks before it hits the market so we can get photos taken. And then with the photos, we can get a just listed postcard. Hit the 100 closest or 200 closest houses. Say, hey, this is coming soon. Now's a great time to pick your neighbor. So we get the postcard sent. Then we use a dialer. We circle prospect. We call all of them. Lauren's super good at that. Say, hey, just sent you a postcard. Has it shown up in the mail? Oh, by the way, who do you know that needs to buy, sell, or invest? It's a great time to choose your neighbor. They're gonna say they don't know anyone, and then we ask, if you had to guess, who would it be? So we'll get leads that way. So we've hit them with the postcard, we've called them or left them a voice message, and then we like to hold an open house within the first 3 weeks of it hitting the market, and then we're knocking on the door, inviting them to the open house. Did you get my postcard? Did you get my voice message? So now you started to saturate that area, and then anyone that's thinking about listing, we at least have a chance, or we're at the top of their mind.
So it sounds like your leads from listings pillar is gonna go up.
Yeah, so just more of that.
I love that.
So make it 300 houses if we want to get more listings, you know, and then call through them and go through the process.
Awesome. Cooley, tell us, you said your business is currently at 50-50 listings versus buyers. So tell us about how you are tackling the current market as far as meeting sellers' expectations and dealing with seller motivation.
50-50 last year was the first time we did that, and we focused on it. How are we meeting seller expectations in that? Asking what their goal is, their ultimate outcome. Definitely falling into the same issue with low inventory of finding a house for them, right? We happen to have 350 homes right now on a board in our office of people who are going to be or intend to be selling in 2020. They're green if we don't know if they're gonna list with us. They're black if we intend them to list with us. That helps. To be able to give someone 10 homes that meets their criteria, it helps for buying. It helps to tell them at the listing, this is one of my favorite scripts lately, that our listing agents are using. So, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we know that you would like to find a home first before you put your home on the market. Did you know that there are 4 times as many homes for sale right now that you'll find online at all? Well, how's that? Well, Ben, you want to sell your home, right?
Yeah, sure.
That's all. Where would I find it online right now?
It's not online yet.
Yeah, we have 10 to 20 of these meetings a week.
Yeah.
Okay. So that really helps with just opening the door of, we can solve your problem. Maybe come into the office. This is not a list that we can distribute, right? So that's really helped. Get
You're
listing.
creating your own inventory.
Yeah, absolutely. That was an idea from one of our team members that was just struggling. It was a buyer agent at the time when I wrote 12 offers for 1 buyer.
None of them got
Right?
accepted.
12 different homes, sorry, and they're still not pending. So what can we do to solve that problem?
It's not, you've changed it from a problem to an opportunity.
Absolutely. And I will +1 that with the people. We've tracked our numbers for years as far as cost per lead, cost per sale, for all different kinds of leads that come in. So we cut our budget back on what we're spending this year. I hired someone at the end of last year. She actually worked in Coos Bay for a marina.
Naturally, she moved to Eugene.
But I was able to train her in about 3 months on how I think around cost per lead, click, what is it to a seller when someone sees their house online, meaning it shows up in a home search? What is it to a seller when someone actually clicks on the home to get more information, right? And what does it mean to a seller if someone requests more information, right? Can you get that metric? Like, we use that in our listing presentation too. There's 3 ways we can tell you in the first week if your home's gonna sell, or if it should be sold, right? By how much attention it's getting. So what Kate is doing right now that's really helped with this 50-50 and keeping business coming in, is she's looking at the home and saying, these are the type of leads that we will get best from the home. This is the market or the demographic for that home, and she's creating the marketing menu based on what she thinks we can get in, and this is kind of deep, right? She's creating the business for us and where the marketing goes based on what the home is and who we think the buyer is. So that's something I haven't heard of other people doing, and that was her idea.
And are you projecting that 2020 will be a 50-50 split as well?
I want to do 60% listings. Just, again, that was a team goal. We think we can do it because we focus on it every single day, and we're just having conversations more around who do we know that needs to list a home. And it's coming from the buyer, like buyer leads that are coming in, or people coming into open houses saying, I'm not ready to list now, I can't find a home, I'm out trying to find a home first, right?
And you say you're perpetuating the problem.
No, we get it. We get it, right? We get it. What comes out next? Well, there's 4 times as many homes for sale as you'll find online.
That's right.
And they say, well, how do you know? You go, well, you want to sell your house, right? I love that part. They kind of look at you like, oh yeah. Right? And how many people do you know that would move right now if they could find a home? Oh yeah. Well, I talk to people every single day. I've got a pretty big list.
I kind of, I'm kind of more a buyer, but I got a few listings, so when I'm running into my clients, they want to put that house, even though you're showing the comparables at the listing price, and they want 50,000 more.
Do you have running shoes or?
Almost.
You can't fix that. I mean, a home's gonna sell for what it'll sell for. So if they want more than you think the market will bear, that's a tough conversation, but maybe that's not the right person to get in business with. Situational, right?
Can I give you a great script? I'd rather be honest with you now than disappoint you later. Chris, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you're handling listings in today's market?
I mean, I think these guys nailed it. I think the only thing I'd add, and this is a conversation that has helped us a lot, right? Sitting across the table with those sellers that we've all gone on those appointments, and we just couldn't get them across the line to get it on the market. Every year we do a lot of work around the NAR profile report of a buyer and seller. And oftentimes we wonder what our dues pay for, and honestly, like, that report is worth our yearly membership and our yearly dues. It truly is, and we should read it if this is our industry and become a student of the industry. But one word pops up when what a seller wants, right? Or I'm sorry, what a buyer wants and what a seller wants. And the word that shows up again and again and again and again is convenience, right? Buyers want a home convenient to schools, convenient to shopping, convenient to, right? When it says, hey, what does a seller look for in